from the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is Ag Day.
From protecting Indiana mint fields from harmful pests,
So they're down there 10 months out of the year feeding on the roots.
to battling a yield-robbing fungus, Purdue University is searching for ways to help farmers.
By providing that little bit of extra water, we get a little bit more resilience and less variability in yield.
Even as USDA releases its latest estimates for the nation's biggest crops.
So I guess the old axiom, big crops do get bigger, came to fruition in September.
We're headed back to campus for the 2024 Ag Day College Roadshow right now.
The 2024 Ag Day College Roadshow from Purdue University is brought to you exclusively by Beck's. From farmers' first pass in the field to the final one at harvest, it's a game plan rooted in faith and belief. Beck's Hybrids is with you every turn because both on and off the field, we're all farmers at heart. See why at beckshybrids.com.
Hello and welcome to Ag Day's College Roadshow from Purdue University. I'm Clinton Griffiths. Today we're on the campus of Purdue in beautiful West Lafayette, Indiana, standing just outside the Ag Administration building. And we have some excited students on hand as we take the next 30 minutes to visit with leaders and feature some of the incredible research happening right here on this historic land-grant university as they work to fulfill their mission of helping America's agriculturalists thrive and succeed. But before we get too far along, let's get today's big headline, the latest WASDE report from USDA. The agency making a change when it comes to corn yields, bumping them up half a bushel. It's now calling for corn yields to be 183.6 bushels to the acre. It also raised production by 39 million bushels based on those higher yields to 15.2 billion bushels. Now for soybeans, yields are unchanged from August, staying at 53.2 bushels to the acre, but production is lowered by 3 million bushels to 4.6 billion. Checking ending stocks, corn in at 1.8 billion bushels of old crop, which is 55 million lower on increased exports, but it's calling for more than 2 billion bushels of new. Soybeans, old crop at 340 million bushels and 550 million new, down 10 million from last month, and wheat in at 702 million old, 828 million new, no changes from last month.
The farmers need to take away from this report that big crops got bigger in the corn market. Now the market's action is going to try to find a pricing model that will stimulate demand. At the same time, we try to deal with the fact of the matter is a lot of this corn has not been sold, and a lot of it's going to have to come to market here the next couple weeks as harvest picks up speed. On the beans, the yield are left unchanged. We are dealing with a very big crop net on net, and demand is still a concern, which the market's goal right now will be try to encourage demand as well.
And we'll have more on the market fallout from that report and where we go from here Monday morning on Ag Day. Now, as farmers prepare for harvest to begin, here at Purdue, researchers are investigating ways to work with the land's natural features to help build in seasonal resilience. That includes finding a way to keep water available during those weeks of drier weather. This generator is powering an idea, linking wetlands, water, and crop production together.
So we can see over that 25-year period, here in Tippecanoe County alone, about one time per year on average, we experience at least abnormally dry periods, or worse, something that shows up on the drought monitor.
Those dry stretches often translate into lost yields for both corn and soybeans.
But even in the vegetative stage, if there's a dry period, it can affect the cob size, which will affect what your final yield will be.
That prompted an idea from a team of researchers here at Purdue University. Take the water from tile runoff during the wetter parts of the year and store it here in a nearby 3-acre wetland.
For years, subsurface drainage water from the farm has passed through this wetland. About 175 acres of the farm has subsurface drains that discharge into this space, but then they would pass right through and go down Indian Creek.
So with approval from the Indiana Department of Environmental Management and the Army Corps of Engineers, the team is reversing that flow for short windows of time.
We have a small sump pump essentially over there run by a generator, and it is pumping water through a 4-inch flexible pipe something like 500 yards under County Road 500 through a culvert to get it to our field.
The water is then distributed via subsurface drip irrigation straight to the plant's roots.
It's not intensive full pivot irrigation that you're going to see a bit west of here. This is a system designed for supplemental irrigation. It lets us give the crop a boost during those short but intense dry periods that we're experiencing with increasing frequency in Indiana.
While they've seen yield increases of 5 to 10%, they admit it's not yet a financially viable solution at scale. They hope that by adding other management practices like fertigation or fungicides, it will help the ROI go up.
We're really getting the best yield benefit when we pile on all of those practices. Intensive management and fertigation along with the irrigation water.
Lots of raccoons, fox, possum.
It's also helping to improve the wetland habitat.
This wetland is a natural wetland, but it's been impacted by the agricultural landscape without any management intervention for decades.
They're battling invasive grass species and planting new pollinator habitats. Ultimately, they hope with time and testing to figure out how these two different environments can finally work together.
By providing that little bit of extra water, we get a little bit more resilience and less variability in yield.
Happening right now, what remains of Hurricane Francine is continuing to move north. The storm bringing with it torrential downpours and floodwaters. New Orleans seeing more than a month's worth of rainfall from that storm. Producers in the Mississippi Delta region in Arkansas race to try and bring in the harvest ahead of the storm. Of course, it's a beautiful mid-80s day here on campus ahead of Saturday's game when temperatures are expected to be about the same. Meteorologist Jeff Van Meter joins us to let us know when the rain from Francine could arrive here in the Midwest.
Taking a look now at the remnants of Francine as it's finally moved up, dropped all tropical tags whatsoever, which is great news, but right now it's just going to be depositing just an incredible amount of water to mostly the southern states of the United States and also just a little bit of the Midwest states. I've got it here started this morning as I put this in motion, just slowly but surely moving north, but also expanding east as well. What's expected with this system actually, or what's left of it, again, all it is right now is a weak low pressure system that is going to continue to go to the eastern part of the country. And as that starts to drift off throughout the weekend, we start to look at our next major weather maker, our next big trough that's kind of coming off of the Pacific. As we can put this in motion and look up right off the coast of Vancouver, we can actually start to see some of those isobars and that troughing starting to exist. And this is actually going to be the main pattern setting up in the United States for this upcoming week. And a beautiful start to the morning in Butler, Mississippi. Smith's Farms sharing this picture. Some nice looking cattle and an amazing sun to boot. They had life is good west of in the Mississippi. More on your forecast coming up.
All right, still to come. We'll be joined next by our panel of Purdue experts to talk about agronomy and economics when the Ag Day College Roadshow continues. And later, how these alien-like creatures could help men farmers and others in the Midwest battle against a serious yield-robbing pest today in the country. Welcome back to the campus of Purdue University. We've got a great panel discussion here. Dan Quinn, Ariana Torres, and Chad Fichter. Thank you for being here. All right, Dan, you're an agronomy specialist here in Indiana. Tell us about the crop this year. How's it looking as we're kind of working our way toward harvest? And some places are already rolling.
Yeah, so harvest has started over the last couple of weeks. I think for the most part, the crop looks really good, both corn and soybeans. Recent USDA report has us still at that state record yield average of 207 bushels per acre on the corn side. So stuff has looked really good. I think there's been some challenges here recently in terms of, dry weather and some disease and stuff like that as we get closer to harvest. But for the most part, stuff looks really good across the state.
Ariana Torres, you kind of specialize in horticulture and kind of diversifying crop rotations. What are some of the things you're finding this year? Because as we know, prices are kind of tough in agriculture this year as far as the major grains go, but there are other options out there. What are you hearing?
Yeah, absolutely. We know that there is consumer preferences are changing towards plant-based diets, and that's motivating processors and retailers and wholesalers to kind of look for smaller grains, cover crops that can be rotated into the corn and soybean as weather changes and corn and soybean face challenges. So there is different crops like oats, sorghum, miscanthus as biofuels that are presenting opportunities for farmers to not only diversify but add extra income.
Yeah, as you talk about some of those opportunities, you mentioned oats. Are there others though that kind of stand out?
Yeah, we also have horticultural crops, of course, which is my area, but also livestock. Farmers are trying to not put their eggs in one single basket and try to figure out other ways to reduce the variability in price, volatility, etc.
Yeah. Chad Fichter, you're obviously running the numbers here. That's ag economics is kind of your bag. As you look at this and overall you start to say, okay, well, how did we do in 24? We're starting to look out to 25. What are the numbers looking like?
Yeah, not positive. I think you kind of, Dan says we got a great crop, but the prices aren't where we want them to be. So basically for 2025, I'm saying, think creatively about where you've got opportunities to maintain your working capital levels so that you can maintain flexibility, right? The long-term outlook hopefully will get better, but in these next couple of years, try to do everything you can to maintain those working capital levels.
All right, Dan, we've got about 40 seconds left here. Give me your piece of advice for farmers going into next year.
I think, learn from this year is a big piece of that. Chad mentioned prices are going to become more difficult. It's a great time to understand, look at all the data that you have, what worked, what didn't, maybe some things maybe we can cut out, and what things should we prioritize. So learn from this year, get better for next year, maybe be a little more efficient, cutting some of those costs that you had this year. But overall, just get better for next year.
Ariana?
Yeah, I think managing risk for farmers, that'll involve trying to maximize the infrastructure they have, trying to see if diversifying crops is going to make sense, and it's going to make sense for them, but also trying to form the networks to expand the market access for other crops if they want to get into that.
Yeah, and Chad, real quick.
Just use data to make efficient decisions.
All right, well, I appreciate you all being here. Thank you so much. We'll be back with more Ag Day coming up in just a minute.
Taking a look at the updated version of the drought monitor, we can see that moderate drought is actually extended to a lot the portions of the country that we're dealing with just those abnormally dry conditions, especially the eastern part of the country. We can see that unfortunately West Virginia and parts of southern Ohio still dealing with the extreme and actually even parts in exceptional versions of the drought. But as we can see, especially the southern states here, Mississippi, Alabama, and even parts of northern Georgia dealing just with wide swaths of that moderate drought, even some of that severe drought as well lurking up. As we can see, much of Indiana, that has made a big switch as well from a lot of those abnormally dry conditions to now actually seeing a lot of moderate drought as well. And taking a look out west too, much of the same situation. And unfortunately, it's very sad out in California. They're dealing with those dry conditions, which is actually starting to fuel those forest fires that they're having out there. Precipitation next 24 hours. We're just going to be dealing again with a lot of that rain caused by the remnants of Francine, especially moving east. We can just see those depositing just an incredible amount of water, over 3 inches of rain in 24 hours. And a lot of those low-lying areas can't even support that much rain. So it's actually incredible. Next 7 days, though, as we can see, again, Francine just depositing just an incredible amount of rain in the eastern part of the country. But we're also looking at that little trough that I was pointing out at Crop Watch, just starting to dip down into Montana. They're really putting in some moisture as well. And it's all because of the jet stream. We're looking at that ridge and trough relationship really setting up in all of the country and really splitting the country well. We'll just have part of the country being in those really, really hot temperatures and the other part dealing with a lot of moisture and also dealing with some cooler temperatures as well. Dickinson, North Dakota, mostly sunny, high 75, low 48. Branson, Missouri, cloudy, 76 degrees, low of just 65 degrees. And finally, Ames, Iowa, mostly cloudy, 82 degrees, low of 64 degrees.
And of course, it's beautiful weather here on campus with Purdue Pete. We'll be back with more of Ag Days College Roadshow coming up in just a minute, including a look at one of the toughest diseases corn farmers are facing right now. As Indiana corn farmers push to build yields, one of the biggest challenges lately has been a disease called tar spot. Since 2015, the fungal disease has been quietly spreading across the Midwest in more than a dozen countries. While here at Purdue University, a team of researchers and scientists are working together to find new ways of detecting or even forecasting an outbreak.
We know that early detection is key to optimizing disease management. And so it's true that it could be quite challenging to stop the disease entirely before it spreads. But so early detection can help the farmers and the producers to decide when and where to apply the fungicides.
To help, they're currently working to develop a predictive model. A team of people in coordination with a host of other labs and collaborators working through traditional statistics, machine learning, computer vision, along with air and ground imagery. All of that information is being analyzed and will hopefully be used to offer an early warning to farmers.
The work is currently in the research and development phase. The aim of the work is to help farmers manage plant diseases effectively. And so the idea here is to develop these reference models based on the information that we're acquiring.
Now there's much more grown in Indiana than just corn and soybeans. Coming up, we dive into the state's mint industry to see how it's grown and what researchers here at Purdue are doing to help keep pests at bay as our Ag Day College Roadshow from Purdue continues.
The 2024 Ag Day College Roadshow from Purdue University is brought to you exclusively by Beck's. From farmers' first pass in the field to the final one at harvest, it's a game plan rooted in faith and belief. Beck's Hybrids is with you every turn because both on and off the field, we're all farmers at heart. See why at beckshybrids.com.
Well, not every acre of land here in Indiana is covered corn and soybeans. In fact, it's a very big producer of mint, and researchers are working with farmers to try to help keep pests at bay. Before it's infused here, it starts here. These Indiana mint fields are growing next season's freshness.
Like many people, I had no idea Indiana was a big mint producing state. In fact, Indiana ranks 3rd and 4th in the nation in spearmint and peppermint oil production respectively.
A rotational crop with corn and soybeans, mint is cut, windrowed like hay, boiled in a big pot where the mint oil is then distilled out.
And then they take that oil and put it into these 50-gallon drums, and that's what they're selling. That's the end product.
But these green leaves are hiding a serious invasive pest, the Asiatic garden beetle.
It's similar or in the same family as the Japanese beetle, which most of us are familiar with.
Capable of feeding on 70 different plants, this beetle spends most of its life as an immature or grub underground.
So they're down there 10 months out of the year feeding on the roots, and unless you go digging, you won't know that they're there in advance, and by the time there's injury to the crop, you know it's too late to do something.
Indiana farmers started asking for help back in 2020, kicking off a host of research, including how to sample or even monitor for the pest, how many in a given area can create yield drag, and finally, what to do about it given mint's direct consumer connections.
So we know we can kill them with insecticides, which is good news, but we're actually really focused on biological control.
And a lot of soil-borne pathogens that
what they're trying are these tiny insect parasitic nematodes that already occur naturally in the soil and only infect insects.
It's like that movie Alien. Basically vomit up a bacteria that turns the inside of the grub into a soup. Then they feed on that and they kill the grub in the process.
They hope with enough grub-seeking nematodes surviving in the soil, they can keep populations down and yields up.
They're biological organisms, they occur naturally. They can't hurt you or me, so I think that makes it an appealing approach and something that hopefully consumers of mint products care about.
From gum to toothpaste, ice cream and candy, farmers may soon find a helping, no, not an alien, a nematode, battling an invasive pest and protecting Indiana's freshest crop. And that's all the time we have this morning from the beautiful campus of Purdue University for Ag Day College Roadshow. I'm Clinton Griffiths. From all of us here, have a great day out in Farm Country.